Okay, hey everybody. Sorry for the late start. Grimlock sense was tingling. Hey, Corinne. I just had a quarantine emergency. I should, yeah, nothing serious, obviously, but as serious as a non-serious thing can get, because I went to make some coffee for myself and my coffee machine busted. So I'm going to be coffee-less for a short period of time here until I can get another coffee maker. So yeah, I had a spare, a small 4-cup coffee machine that I was keeping in storage for, God, must be like over 10 years at this point. And so I went down to grab that, cleaned it thoroughly, looking at my watch, knowing I got to get started, and then that thing wasn't working either. So yeah, here I am. No caffeine, but ready to go anyway. So Grimlock here. We're going to keep going with Grimlock, and I figured we just have a little fun with it. You can see I kind of sketched in a few little things here. What I want to do is kind of do a little rain and lightning background, a little, little moodiness to it. So we're just going to play with a few things, and hopefully it'll be fun. And yeah, we'll see where we wind up at the end of this. So first thing I'm going to do is just fill in some, work on filling in some of the blacks, but I want to do a few of the tricks that I've been doing lately, sort of inspired by the old Generation 1 style of inking. So like last time we talked about our light source, which I basically decided was a giant lightning bolt coming behind him. So it's sort of near the top, but also behind him. So I'm going to drop a heavier shadow on his face and part of his leg. Basically, the black parts are going to really kind of darken up a bit more. And I'll add a few more shadows in here and there. But it should look pretty cool when we're done. So here we go. I hope everybody's having a good Monday. So here, this is kind of a little like little shine thing I'm putting on here. The name of this pen, this is a zebra pen. I think it's a medium, but I get them from Jet Pens, and they're very nice. So we're kind of darkening this in here. Again, thinking the light is coming from back here, so the top of his head's going to have a bit of stark light on it, but this part we're thinking is really in the front, so it's backlit, so it's going to put this part in darkness. And we're going to kind of follow this all over his head. I'm going to do a few of these shiny things here. Just playing around, seeing what looks good. And if it doesn't look good, we got white out and things like that. Got that battle music. Is that too loud, the Headmaster's sound? Or does it sound okay? I put it on my TV this time instead of on the computer. This one's Headmaster's, not Victory. I don't have a region-free DVD player. And for whatever reason, they made the Headmaster's set able to be played on an American DVD player, but the other two, Victory and Master Force, cannot. So, kind of weird, but decided I'd try out the TV and threw on Headmasters again. I'm going to kind of like over render this a bit. I think, you know, just kind of experimenting, being a little, you know, playful, figure out what looks good. I think I know what's going to look good, but sometimes when you get really heavy-handed with the effects, it can be overdone, but I think it'll be pretty cool in the end if it turns out how it looks in my head. Yeah, you know, a few years ago I was looking at, I don't know anything about that stuff, but I was looking things up online, putting my, I have two DVD players, I put both models in, and at least at the time that I was looking, neither of them were compatible with any sort of code to unlock the region thing. I just looked on bestbuy.com, or I Google searched it, and there's like at Best Buy I found a region-free player for like $35, so I just bought it, and it's on its way here. Yeah, that would be handy to have that here, but it's on the way. All right. Hey. Thank you. What's up, kiddo?
Hi, Dad.
Hi.
I made a coffee machine. You don't even know.
My wife just made coffee somehow like MacGyvered something together. So thank you very much.
How is it?
I don't know, I haven't tasted it yet. Ooh, no, it's good. Thank you. All right, well, that was nice. I have some coffee. All right. Should keep going with this here. So at this point, the light is coming kind of directly behind him. Hopefully this will be fun to watch doing some of these effects. I don't usually go too heavy-handed with the inks here, but I think it'll work out well for this one. Gotta keep that little thin line sort of separating the parts here. I don't want to lose that. Hey, thank you. I don't know how to say that. Aeroco 99. Good to have you here. Any other first timers? There's been an entire 3 of these so far. Well, thank you. I do what I can. Alright, so I want to make the shadow coming from his little mohawk a little harder there. Alright, that's looking pretty good, I think. So the other part that's black that you can see would be his leg. This part up here is on top, so I'm considering that flash of light is going to completely put this piece in brightness, but where it kind of bends down this way is going to kind of get a little mix. So I'm going to do a little more of this effect. I'm going to really overdo this here, but like I said, if it doesn't look good in the end, we can either darken it back in or white it out or whatever. Have it really kind of come down low there and then back in. Sort of like very Dark Knight-ish vibe, I guess, is what I'm going for here. You know, I didn't even have time to check my settings. Is the chat still coming up on the screen for everybody? All right, very good. See, I intended to refill my black Copic marker here, but I didn't, so hopefully this won't run out on us, but to me, some of this is like the fun part here. I'm going to do the lightning bolt. Alright, so we're going to start out pretty rough. I penciled it in here, but just kind of doing the outline of the lightning strike. A little bit will go behind him. Keep it a little heavy there. Oh, what kind of paper? This is just 300, Strathmore 300 Bristol. What I've been doing is taking an 11 by 17 sheet and cutting it right in half. I have, you know, paper cutter. I just slice it right in half. They're two 8.5 by 11 sheets. Nice big space to work in, but still small enough that it'll ship. I can ship it flat without performing a small miracle. So we'll work his way around old Grimlock's little claw here. His paw. You gotta be careful with this big marker. Sometimes I go a little bit over the line, which is not so great, but not the end of the world either. Alright, so we got a little streak going like this, a little kind of curves around here a little bit. Lightning's funny. Electricity or whatever, sometimes you can get it to look really cool, and that sometimes just looks a little wonky, but you can usually mess around with it and make it work in the end. There we go. That's pretty good. I generally like the smooth better than the vellum. Alright, I think I'm going to do something different down there. Yeah, the vellum is nice for kind of more organic stuff, but for Transformers I want, you know, a pretty precise line, and I don't want that roughness in there, so the smooth works really well for that. It just, the pen doesn't soak in as quickly, so you know, you gotta just make sure you don't smudge your inks, but I prefer the smooth generally. Alright, so I'm gonna do some of the boring stuff, but that's okay. Just gonna kind of tighten up a little bit of this and, you know, get the edges. I think I want to use a different pen for this. Galvatron truck from Age of Extinction was repainted and used as the mobile base for Robotnik. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. But hey, I guess, you know, reuse, recycle, all that. Why not, right? I haven't seen the Sonic movie yet, but I've heard it was pretty good. I was, you know, as I've talked about online before, my gaming generation was a long time ago, but when the initial, or the original Sonic the Hedgehog came out, that was my generation there. I played the heck out of that. I think I want to hit this here. I'll put the hard shadow here. I wasn't originally going to do that, but I'll go ahead and do it. Just drive home that depth a little bit more. I didn't know that guy's name. It's a pretty epic tune. I love the intro. Does the same guy sing the intro? Pump it up, yeah. Thank you, Leon. Doing what we can here. Getting a weird glare. So it's kind of hard to see under here the way I have to hold it to be under the camera, but it's all right. I'm making it work. Dramatic, yes. Grimlock is feeling very dramatic and angsty, I think. He just read the latest Twilight book and he's not happy with how it went. I'm not sure if I'm familiar with the animated EVO. Is that like the Japanese version of animated? Yeah, he's a little bit emotional, isn't he? Always concerned about whether he's the best or he's the king. You know, can't just be happy for others. Him, Grimlock, have to be king. All right, so we got our lightning bolt pretty well filled in there. We're going to do a lot more to that, but I just want to get some of this tedious stuff done. I'll try to do a little bit of the tedious stuff and then jump into some fun stuff, kind of go back and forth a little bit. There's probably a better way to do all this, but I don't know. I just am used to what I got right here. All right. Let's fill in some more of this here. I don't know if I have seen the video. Let's see. So if his face and front of his hand are in shadow, why wouldn't the front of his chest and arms be shaded? Well, they're going to be shaded a little bit. It'll be a little less heavy-handed, but partially because I focused on those because they're literally the black portions of him. So I feel like I want to make them darker, like the gray pieces. I'm not going to have them be so dark. Like if it was all the same color, this surface right here would be pretty much blacked out. Maybe this right here, the whole chest, everything, which might look cool. But I just like the contrast of the black parts against the lighter parts. You can see down by the fist it's more finished. I like the contrast of the fist against that. I feel like if I blacked all of that out, then it would just kind of look like a big dark mess. So, and with the lightning strike, it's more of like a flash. So I feel like, different surfaces being different amounts of, lit different amounts, I guess. I feel like it makes a little bit of sense. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. So like down by the, I think his I keep calling it underwear because that sounds funny to me, but I think his little, that area is red. At least that's the way it is in my head. So I kind of imagined it, this part being partial, like there's going to be some shadow down here, but it's going to be a little more kind of jagged. Maybe I'll do some of my little effects here. Sound blaster. So I'm saying this right here is actually casting a shadow. Now I'm kind of thinking a little bit too hard about this, because realistically, if this is back here, all of this would be sort of in a flat shadow, but there's sometimes more than one light source. Primary, secondary. Colorists have to think about that more than line artists. Well, maybe line artists should think about it a little more, but that's kind of not where my head's at. This pen's dying on me. Okay. Oh, you can comment on Headmasters. Why not? Yeah, I'm gonna not comment too much on the Bay movies. But yeah, there's a few things they could have done differently for my tastes. All right. You know what's fun about this is I feel like sometimes I get to that Bob Ross phase where, if you ever watch the Bob Ross painting show, he does, you know, he gets to a point where you're looking at what he's doing and you're like, oh my God, he's ruining it. How could he do that? So I feel like there's a few times where everybody must be thinking, oh my God, what the hell is he doing? That looks terrible. The English dub. This does have the English track on it, which I've listened to some of that. I actually, one of the reasons I put on Headmasters is for because it's in Japanese. I figured if it's two different languages, you know, it won't distract from whatever I'm saying. You know, you can pay attention to me and then have that in the background. If you don't speak Japanese, it will be just sort of like, you know, more sound in the background. If you do speak Japanese, and you probably won't mix up the Japanese words with the English words, maybe you will. But that was sort of my logic there. All right, I'm going to put that in darkness here. Yeah, I think that was the right choice. One of the fun things about when these brush pens start to wear out, you can get some like textured strokes. Like I'm actually going to do a little bit of transition from the darkness and the rain going on. Well, there's going to be rain. In my head, it's already there. So kind of the frayed brush stroke will kind of add to that effect a little bit. I'm going to go back through here with my white brush and sort of hit some spots here, but I'll redefine the line of Grimlock's arm a little bit where I'm almost making it disappear. I'm just kind of going really lightly with some of this here. So it just catches the paper a little bit. This is actually where, if I was using the vellum paper, it would, you know, catch some of these strokes a little differently. You know, I never did, never shared the stream. Pardon me a second. All right. That American dub was done in the USA, so is that saying it was done really poorly? See, I'm adding a little shadow here. You know, this like sort of indented area. Just kind of putting that in shadow. I'll probably do a little more of this here and some shadow, but I'll probably texture it a little more with some different types of lines there. Alright, I should finish this up a little bit. Sometimes I worry about making mistakes, but I've kind of, learned that you can pretty much fix any mistake you make, either, digitally or, by using whiteout or, stuff like that. But yeah, I used to kind of sweat it once I went to the inking stage. I would kind of hover over the paper for a while before putting down some lines, just thinking, oh God, I'm going to ruin it. What if this isn't the right line to put in the right place? What if I don't know what I'm doing? But yeah, that's kind of subsided a bit. All right, let's fill that in here. Mistake or happy accident. Yeah, very exactly. We only have happy accidents. Happy little accident. All right. Sorry if all this filling in of the black areas is boring. I probably should have done that ahead of time, but I did not exactly have the time. The real fun stuff, speaking of potentially ruining things, the real fun stuff will come when we get the white out in the brush. Let's see. That looks to be one of his little hip doodads there. Sometimes hard to remember what was that line I put down. What was that? What's that supposed to be? Oh, right, his hip. Okay. Sometimes when you darken in the inks, you realize something doesn't quite look right. But I think I'm going to darken this part out a little bit too here. I think it's would actually be better if that was all in shadow. That feels a little bit better. Not boring at all. Well, that's good. All right, that feels a little better. Still kind of want this to catch a little bit of light right there. And the sword hilt, I want to separate that from the rest of him here, so I'll just put a little bit of a darker line around that, because I'm starting to lose it in the rest of the detail there. Okay, I think I'm going to darken this too, because that's still the side of his leg going there. And okay, that's feeling about right. Some of this behind him is going to be in shadow too. Not in shadow, but the darkened sky. But I'm also going to have just a little bit of a hint of what I was doing over here. Let's see, this is his little belt thing. That's his little hip thing. Bring out that frayed brush again. Pookbot Hero. That's my friend I grew up with. Thanks for making it to the stream. All right. I won't hold it against you. I can't speak for anybody else. Whistlehead, yes. Grimlock, we used to call Grimlock Whistlehead. If you've ever noticed the Generation 1 animation model, his head is kind of shaped like a whistle. All right. Let's get the straight edge out here. Shake the camera a little bit. Just keep you on your toes. So, Pookbot Hero and I, let's say that right, Pookbot Hero, we used to, this is like the worst advice for kids. I shouldn't be saying this if there's any kids watching. We would, back in 5th grade math class, we would sometimes take the class off, and we had study hall, I think, right after that. So we would go and play the original SNES Mario Kart when we were supposed to be doing math. Isn't that terrible? Oh, definitely worth it. All right, I want to darken some more spots up here, and then we'll add some meaningless detail, because that's always fun, and then we'll play around with the whiteout. I just want to darken that whole thing in. We don't need that. Nobody cares about that part right there. Rebels, that's right. Alright, so let's do a little bit of this kind of little shine there. I'm gonna muck that up a little bit later with some sort of rain effects. For now, I just want to add a little bit of that. I think in the oh no, that's not the right spot. I was going to say in the Diaclone version, a little figure would sit in this little clear chest part, but that's actually a different piece. I think it's on Grimlock's back, maybe. I think I'm going to do kind of darken this plane a little bit here. I think actually I want to darken this right here a little bit. And under here. Welcome to the Filling in Black Spaces show. Right after the Watching Paint Dry show, it is the most exciting thing on Twitch. Alright, now we're getting some dimension in there. I just heard train bots and protect the bots. They're speaking my language, even though it's Japanese. So I just sort of decided to cut a hard shadow at this particular plane right here, where his chest piece bends down a little bit. Feels about right. Channeling my inner Keizama. I could never quite do it as well as she does, but she applies those heavy blacks everywhere and it looks amazing. All right. Now let's throw some more detail in here, and then I'll be able to get rid of some of my pencil lines, which are starting to annoy me. I always get so annoyed once I get pretty far into the inks and there's still pencils sitting on the paper and they start to smudge, and I don't know. I don't like that. But anyway, so we're going to, as I've mentioned, it's going to be raining here, so just kind of adding a few little drips here, or whatever, you know, bits of liquid that we're going to assume is just water, but it could be other things, kind of running down his sword. Just kind of gives it a little extra dimension. I've got that in a few spots here. I want to have it sort of running down here, and kind of trying to think of where it would run off. A little bit on his head here. going to be some more action going on in there. Right here. All right. Imagine it'll follow some of the natural contours of his body there. We're going to add some more, effect-like splashes. I think the confidence maybe in a way it just looks more confident than it really is, but in another way, I think getting older has kind of just made me a little less worried about, each little thing. All right, let's throw a little more dimension back here. I feel like adding a little notch right there. And then I'll kind of dip the shadow down a little bit to make it look indented. If you can even see that. It's a little subtle. I'm just kind of making up these details as I go. But, in these large flat spaces, a little detail kind of goes a long way. I was debating what to do in this little space here. I think I might just throw some vents in there and see if I regret it. This little space right here. Maybe I'll actually end it where that flattens out and kind of add a little one of these here. Typically I would have all this penciled in, but if you caught the last stream where I kind of started this guy, it was I just kind of had to do it on the fly to get the stream started. I was, hey, surprise, running late again. So I had to just kind of pencil this out relatively quickly and just get it printed and ready to go. Oh, I know where I forgot right here, his neck. Now that I'm putting the heavy shadow on the front, pretty much wouldn't see any of that. I'll keep a little hint of light coming through there, hitting the neck, but mostly it's in the dark. Another little thing that I'll sometimes do with these weird streaks across shiny surfaces, you can see a little bit of in the visor. I'll take a section of it and just put some thin lines in, so when you look back at it, it's like light area, dark area, gray area. Just a little bit here and there. Just a happy little gray area. Should we do a little, yeah, I'm going to do a little G1 Marvel little shine along here. It's sort of like how I did the other areas down there. It's a little bit different than this, but A little shine there. Why not? The shinies. Yeah. Just kind of throw it in there and hope it looks good. I think we need a little thing there. We're gonna add a little dimension to that. Actually, if this is round, then we'll have a hard shadow at the bottom. We'll even kind of feather it up a little bit. Maybe I'll do, I'm just kind of overdoing it a little bit here. Yeah. It's fine. All right. I think I'll throw a few more things in here. See, my pencils were so light, I'm kind of lost them at this point. I've smudged them a little too much. Oh, that's right. I wanted to drop a hard shadow under here, where the little lip of this area crosses over that. That feels better. Add a little extra thing there, a few scuff marks, do a few little detail pieces back here. That's right, I wanted to kind of get a little bit going on back here. I was going to do the hinge where his arm, his little T-Rex baby arm connects to this little piece hanging off his back. I'll go for the template action here. Let's see, that feels about right. And it is a little bit screwed up, but that's okay. Just make a little hard shadow underneath there. Josh Perez drew Isabel from Animal Crossing. Awesome. Was that part of a 6 fan art thing? I still have to do mine. My daughter's been playing a ton of Animal Crossing. She keeps showing me her village, her villagers, all that stuff. I haven't played it before, so I'm kind of trying to follow along, but a little different than the games I used to play. What do you usually do with these Twitch drawings? I've been, there were, I'm trying to think of what I've done. I know at least one of them was for an old friend of mine. What else did I do? Oh, that big one. The big one's going on eBay tonight, actually. This one will be on eBay as well. One of the things when this whole stay-at-home business started, and pretty much all of the jobs, the different jobs that I had, started to dry up. I said to myself, I'm going to just kind of start drawing some things because I want to draw them. Whereas usually I'm, you know, being commissioned or paid to do something in particular, a cover, interior, whatever it is. I don't just get to sit down and draw whatever I want to draw. And because I know there's a market for the things that I want to draw, I told myself, well, if I've got some time, I'm going to just mess around and draw some things that I like and then just throw them up on eBay to kind of help pay the bills while I'm not getting official work. So that is what I've been doing with, how many have I done? 3? 2 out of the 3. So all right, let's get rid of this pencil because I'm tired of looking at it. It's probably not getting picked up much by the camera, but it's bothering me, so it's going away. Goodbye, pencil. Plus, I think it's time to mess around with some of this lightning. Another thing about, I'm sure it's different depending on what type of whiteout you use, but I find most of the stuff that I use, once you lay that down, you don't want to be doing too much more penciling, erasing, things like that, because then you wind up smudging your white paint, and that doesn't look so good. Not exactly smudging the white paint, I guess. What I more mean is like the white will pick up, like if I swiped this over some white paint, at least the stuff I use will actually pick up some of that. Some of the gray will stay where I painted white. So that's no fun. But anyway, let's do some fun stuff here. Do a lot of you all play Animal Crossing? Okay. Yeah, same here. I'm like, I just keep telling Rosie, my daughter, like, I'm glad you like that. She came in and excitedly told me that she could sit on a stump. There was a stump in her little yard and she could sit on it, and that was really exciting. And I was like, that's great. I'm really glad you can sit on that stump. I'm glad if people are having fun. I know, yeah, yay stump. I'm sure some of the stuff I play, my kids look at like, why on earth would you ever want to do that? All right, so I've got my whiteout. Clip got addicted to it. Oh my goodness. I've got my whiteout, and I'm going to add a little bit to our lightning bolt up here. So this is kind of our main flash, and I'm just going to kind of like add some little extra, I don't know what you'd call it, little mini flashes sort of going in and around the lightning bolt. Just kind of adds a little extra dimension. Did I even get that on camera? Let's go. I kind of, in my head, I think of it like the Spider-Man webs, how McFarlane started drawing the web, and then there'd be like a little piece of web that wrapped around the larger web. It's kind of how I think of some of this. Adds a little bit to the lightning bolt there. I'm not quite done with that, but I want to also take my little tape off. Add some actual rain here. I'm going to go really super lightly, so just kind of pick up a little bit here and there. And a little texture isn't a bad thing once the brush gets a little drier. That kind of adds to it. I want to keep it pretty thin, so I kind of hover over the paper until it catches just a little bit. All right, thank you. I will hit those. You know, I was actually looking at that thinking, thinking it was part of this plane here, but you're right, it's actually the opposite of that. So thanks for the heads up. I will hit that momentarily. So a lot of this little rain is going to be in the background here, but I'm going to have a piece or two kind of going across the front of him. And it's going to also kind of splash up around the surface where it's hitting. Raining in sheets. I think I need a Grimlock Totoro crossover. I need him standing with his little leaf on his head or whatever. Do a little few streaks over him right there. All right, let's thicken some of the rain up here a little bit. When the paint starts to run thin a little bit, it It's kind of like almost gray on top of the black. I don't want to get too heavy with this, but I want to make sure it's coming across looking cool. There's a few little spots where it's hitting. I'm actually going to come through with some white lines as well. And thank you. I'm going to do the old toothbrush trick, I think, in a minute. Let me give that a rest for a minute. We're going to make sure that's dry before we go over it with anything else, but I will take this opportunity to do a little bit of the old toothbrush trick too. So there are probably more professional ways to do this, but I've got this like travel toothbrush that I just kind of got for this. I think we got it from an airline or something, and I said, oh, I'm going to save that for some art tricks. So I've got that. I'm just going to get a little bit of the white paint on there and just clean it off a little bit. And just hit it with, it's kind of hard to angle my hands. I've got a lollipop stick or whatever you call it, like one of those sticks, just kind of hitting it like that. You can't even see it. I got it off camera. Huh, awesome. I'll hit one down here. Just kind of adds a little splatter. It's pretty thin. I don't know how well it's coming in on the video, but this is Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White. I'm going to work around the camera here. Sorry about that. It's really kind of interesting working around the camera here, but I don't want to overdo this too much, but I think a splash here and there can look really cool. I'll do some under here. And if it gets on top of the character, that's fine too. I don't know how much of that you can pick up here. Let me raise this up a little bit. So like up here, it just kind of looks a little misty. Hang on a second. This right here is what I have. I know there are better whiteouts, but this is what I've got right now. Yeah, I actually used to do stuff like this a long time ago, but I don't end up doing a lot of it with Transformers, so it's fun to incorporate some of this in here. Alright, so I think we're pretty well dry down below. So I'll go back and add some of those vents down here. Alright, so they would be right about here. And this little sort of trapezoid shape would be right about here. Be careful not to smudge anything that I just did. That's good enough. Thank you, Sketchy McSketchington. It's a lovely name. I think I like some of the names people come up with for their Twitter accounts and things like that. I'm not really a big fan of Facebook, but I always feel like, Facebook is like, your parents, your aunts, your uncles, Aunt Judy or whoever, and then you come on Twitter and you've got like Robot Butt 5000 and stuff like that. Those names entertain me. Yeah, you and me both. I was there in 1984. All right, so I'm going to take my number 1 micron, just kind of contrast with some of the white rain that's coming across him there, and just kind of hitting a few spots. Nothing too thick, but just to kind of drive home that there's rain coming in front of him too. Just in a spot here and there. Down here, I wanted to do it a little thicker down here actually. I'm using an older number 1 that's like not working that well because I sort of want it to be a little rougher. Robot Butt 5000. I think there might be a market for that. And you're welcome. $2. Excellent. I mentioned over here, I wanted to carry some of that over here. getting off camera again. I'm getting close. Master Sword, yeah. Bust out that Master Sword. Stole it from Link. Robot butter trash can. I like it. This is going places. This is Transformers Headmasters, a Japanese series, post Western G1 series. All right, I'm messing around a little bit too much here. I don't know if I'm going to be into those. But hey, you never know. Times get tough enough and there's a market for robot butts. Bring them on. Alright, so what I want to do now is take one of my brushes and just kind of like sort of tighten up around some of the lightning a little bit. And that was still wet, so that was a mistake. Maybe I'll do that a little later. Instead, I'll just tidy this up around here. Help define the edge, define the edge here. I'll let it be thin right there where the shine is supposed to be. Right here should be a little thicker right there, I think. Headmasters does come with an English dub, but it's somebody on here probably can tell you who did it. I don't know who did it, but it is like a really poor English dub. They got a lot of the names wrong, and it can be very funny, but it's not good. Used for humor only. I'll make a few little splashes here where the raindrops might be hitting. Yeah. I mean, if you haven't heard it before, it's kind of funny to just listen to it, to marvel at how bad it is. Like some of the names, like Spike is in it, and they call him Sparkle. Blaster is Billy. Blur is called Wally. And, you know, just the acting is extremely poor, but you know, some of the naming as well is just like, what? Billy. Yeah. So, spoiler alert. Yeah, so Blaster's in it. They call him Billy. Now, as part of the series, he gets like blown up and then rebuilt into Twin Cast. And the same with Soundwave, who gets rebuilt into Sound Blaster. But instead of Twin Cast, they say, okay, Billy has been brought back and now he's called Blaster. So Twin Cast is Blaster. And then Soundwave gets brought back. Instead of calling him Sound Blaster, they call him New Soundwave. That's his name, New Soundwave. Very clever. Yeah, New Soundwave. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. Go back up and hit Grimlock's arm a little bit here. It's a thicker line. Separate it from the lightning bolt behind it. How did they get away with it? Honestly, I have no idea. I'm sure Chris McFeely could tell you, but I don't know. It must have been, just something that kind of slipped through with, just Hasbro. I'm not sure if it was mostly Hasbro or Takara that had to approve it, because I think these were distributed in like the UK and maybe parts of Europe, but they weren't released in the United States, so I'm not sure who had to approve it, but yeah, somebody approved it, and you can't even imagine something like that happening nowadays. Definitely gonna have to replenish my supplies after this. Stuff's getting real low, real worn out. Just gonna add a few more little cracks and dings here and there, just kind of give them a little more personality, a little more texture. I hit a little more white out here and there also. Yeah, always blame the intern. I think I want to darken in a little spot here. I didn't wait long enough for some of this white out to dry, so I went over it with some of these pens and not really mucked them up. But that's okay. Good thing about the guys like Grimlock is, you know, you just kind of scuff them up all over the place, and it kind of fits their personality. These guys have been through it, you know. If you think about a car that's been through like a demolition derby, you know, they, I'm sure the metal on Transformers is supposed to be stronger than that, but at the same time, you know, these guys aren't really going to be looking too pristine. Unless we're talking Starscream, you know, he's probably, or Sunstreaker, you know, that type. Let's get a little bit of that kind of medium shadow in there, a few spots. Oh, that's an evil laugh right there. I've had a few of these. Sharkticon Battleclaw, yeah. Me Grimlock want to munch metal. Sure. Let's do a little sort of secondary shine there on the claws. I think I'll do just a little bit more of the white out here. I think I'm going to do a hound next. A lot of people voted for hound when I took poll on Twitter, and like I said, I don't think hound gets quite enough love, so I'll do a little hound for the next one here. I don't know if I ever knew that, or if I did, I must have forgot. Alright, so what I wanted to do was where some of this kind of water is flowing here, just kind of drive that home a little bit, go over some of the marks that I made. Right here. Maybe I'll just let it run right into there. Yeah, hound was a great figure. Actually, here, let me... Got him right over here. There he is. This thing is like unbelievably small. I bought this reissue years ago, and I never had hound when I was a kid, and I was like, oh my god, he's so tiny. So this is the original Bumblebee. There's Hound. He's like not that much taller than Bumblebee. So you can tell this was a keychain. But anyway, yeah, Hound does not get enough love, so we're going to do a Hound for the next one, I think. He did, yeah. The legs are, this part of the leg is metal down at the bottom. There's some other metal on him. Or not, maybe that's it. I don't know, this reissue could be a little different than the original as well. Huh. Yeah, not a lot of metal on there today. Alright, so what the heck was I doing? Right, a little more white out. That would be fun, real hologram projections. Gonna be a little water dripping off of the sword here. Or whatever it is. Maybe it's not water. I'll leave that up to you. Oh, we're out of focus again. No, we're good. I never had that one. The only game I really had was the, there's a Beast Wars Transformers game that is, not great, I guess is the way I'll put it. PC Transformers game? It was like Generation 1 or something else? Yeah, get on that, will you? All right, that's right. I said I was going to kind of redefine this a little bit here. Maybe I won't, though. I think it looks good enough like that. Maybe I'll leave that alone. Yeah, I think I will. Let's add a little bit of drip there. All right, I think we're getting near the time limit here, so I think I'm gonna pretty much call this. I'll probably look this over when I don't have a phone hovering directly over it, and maybe put a few little finishing touches on it. But I think this is basically it here. Let's throw a little. All right, thank you very much. Thanks for checking it out. I hope to do more. I mean, if there's interest and I've got the time, I'm working anyway. As long as I'm not doing NDA stuff, I'd be happy to share. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, this was fun. Truth be told, Grimlock is not one of my favorites to draw. Don't tell anybody that's not on the stream. Just kidding, obviously. But no, I don't know. I've never Grimlock's so popular. It's like, I don't know. He's almost like the Wolverine of Transformers. Like, I'm sometimes more interested in drawing other characters. Grimlock's not necessarily the one I gravitate to right away. I have nothing negative about Grimlock, but yeah, but this was more fun than I anticipated it would be. When Grimlock won the poll, I thought I was kind of hoping somebody else would win, but this was actually a lot of fun. Robot Butts 5000, that's right. Uh-oh, my daughter's checking in. Yes, it is. It's Grimlock. Bad news for you, Rosie. I'm coming upstairs in a few minutes. All right. Thank you. All right. Well, it's always a little bit awkward signing off, but yeah, I should get going. I'm trying to keep to my little time limits here. So I'll do another one of these. I'll try to do another one Wednesday and another one Friday, and you know, depending on how long I can keep this going, I'll try to come up with like a regular schedule. You know, a certain time Monday, certain time Wednesday, certain time Friday, and I'll try to vary the time so that people in different time zones, if they'd like to, can check it out. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching me mess around with this Grimlock image, and thank you for the conversation, and I appreciate you. So I'll sign off, and hopefully I'll see you next time. I'll post the scan of this either later tonight or tomorrow morning sometime. All right. Thanks again. Take care, everybody.